All right, we got top of the hour coming up here. I'm excited to be here with y'all. Welcome to our new format for our Game Changers Live Agent Attraction Mastermind. This is where we're really going to be able to be more interactive and really dig into some of these things that are going on with you in real time. I know the Charlotte marketplace just got a interesting thing going on with it. We got a lot of Charlotte members here, but Zillow basically put the kibbutz on anybody who is paying for advertising with them unless you're a Zillow Flex partner. So that was interesting. That email came out 2 days ago. So we're navigating that with some people. And, really what we always said is you got to build a business that's, that you control, that you can scale, that's not dependent on anybody else. And that's what we love to teach you how to do. And we do that every week on our Tuesday production calls. So if you're, in a sales rut, if you're looking to scale, if you're looking to, help your agents have more sales, I highly recommend that you guys plug into those Tuesday production calls. Here on this call, we're going to focus all on agent attraction. And with that, I'd like to kick it off and open up the call with any highlights, any wins, any agent attraction victories over the last week. How about you guys? What you got? People are piling in. Guys, keep coming in as they're coming in. Let's share any wins that we've had. I had a really nice team come over, and I've been working with them and just helping them get up to speed. Mac Greco, you got something?
Yeah. So as you know, so we've been talking, I won't mention any names here, but just kind of realizing the opportunities that are out there, so having a lot of conversations, talking to agents that are, maybe they're team agents or they're with a company that's providing a lot of leads and opportunities for them, and realizing that there's an opportunity to connect them up with other established teams within EXP. And so I think there's a lot of power in that and can open some doors and help some people that maybe otherwise wouldn't be ready to make the transition and move over EXP as standalone agents.
Yeah, it's true, man. We got all these different options and tools, and we got so many great people in this group. Let's leverage the power of the group and bring those connections together to help bring solutions to people that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see who else has got a win from the past week. I'm gonna get at least one more out of you. So the reason that I brought up the whole Zillow thing is just because I think, there's a lot of agents out there that are hanging on by a thread on the Zillow teat. And it's like, man, if agents that are doing Zillow and your market's pulled out, and it's going to happen across the whole country, guys. Charlotte's just one market of, a domino effect of markets that's going to happen. And what their strategy is they're going to not only take away the people that are paying, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month or more and buying leads, but they're also renegotiating their deals with all their Zillow Flex members. So where Zillow Flex might have been an average of 40% of the overall commission, that's probably going to look more like a 50-50 split right now. So if agents that are surviving or barely surviving on Zillow, now's a great time to call them. Help them understand what we got going on over here at EXP and how we can support their, sales growth. And it's a great recruiting tool. They also just rolled out yesterday for the shareholders event, day 1 and day 2, all of the videos from all those talks. They did it in one single stream. So you can go to day 1, it's 3.5 hours, and it's all the talks just back to back with all the, stuff in the middle cut out. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nice way that they presented that. So you can be using that to share with prospects that you're looking to recruit. How about you guys though? One more, let me get one more positive focus out of you, however big or small. Let's hear it.
I'll go, John.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Just making my 5 conversations every day, minimum 5, and scheduling appointments, Zoom calls, and it's going great. So loving it.
That's awesome. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Well, let's dive in. So we're going to have a great interview today. I actually talked to this person this morning. Excited about them. They're going to be joining us here in a minute. In the meantime, what questions do you guys have? Like, what struggles are you seeing? Like, what can we help you, get into? Then we'll get into the interview. We'll pick that apart some. I'm sure that's going to lead to some more questions. But like, what are the challenges that you guys are having out there as it relates to agent attraction? Obviously, you're serious about it, or you wouldn't be here on this call, or you're brand new, and that's okay too. Like, how can I serve you during our time together? What do you guys need from me right now?
I'll say that just for me, just showing up and having this platform to help build my mindset around the fact that I can do it has been helpful. So just showing up and being in the room with other people who are looking to attract. I haven't really started yet, but I'm looking to grow. And so I'm just putting myself around like-minded people. And so thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's real. Like, people have to, have the mindset first, before they can really go beyond that. And if you don't have the mindset, you're not gonna take the action. So it always starts with the mindset. This is a great place. And this is what we wanted to provide, is like that opportunity for people to get the mindset they need, to get the place to answer their questions on a weekly basis. Go out there and do some work, take some action. You're going to fail. Every one of us is going to fail in order to get to that level of proficiency where we get good. But like, bring those failures back to this call. Let's talk about them, because other people are probably having the same failures and can learn from it. And then let's all move forward together. And I think that the more interactive we make it, the more beneficial it's going to be for you guys.
So I'll say challenge I'm having right now, just in the last week or two. I don't know if anyone's running into this, but getting a lot of cancellations for meetings that have been set. And I feel like it is probably just related to just being in peak market at the moment. But just curious if anyone else is running into maybe a higher than normal amount of cancellations for either initial presentations or follow-ups.
Yeah, if anybody else is kind of experiencing that problem or wants to speak to it, by all means, chime in, unmute yourself. Cancellations are going to happen. It's one of those things. Matt, you work mostly cold market, so you're going to have a higher cancellation rate than maybe somebody working warm market. What are some things that you guys are doing or think you should do in order to minimize cancellation rate?
I think it has to do with mindset there, and know that I have to spend a lot of time and energy following up to make sure that they do show up for the call. So I used to just set the call and maybe, text them 30 minutes before or something, and then they'd no show. But now I'm like on them big time, like a day before, 2 hours before, 1 hour before. And if they still ghost me, I'm still going to show, or I don't, but at least I'll reach out. And it's just more of a focused attention to get them on that call.
For sure. Yeah, making sure, we're doing proper like notifications. So because like agents, like I would say the number one reason that they cancel is they just forget about it. And that's just kind of, a telltale sign of how most of us run our businesses. That we don't have a strict adherence to a calendar. We don't set our schedule. We just kind of like fly by the seat of our pants and like, oh, there's this meeting, and they're outside at the drive-through window and they're like, oh, I'm not going to make it back home in time, so I'm just going to blow it off. Like, this is a reality, right? But if you're sending them those reminders, it's going to help. I also like to kind of be excited. Like, I learned this from Brent Gove, is just have excitement and urgency. So, let's say I got a guy and I got Greg, and Greg's going to meet with me at 3:00 this afternoon. I might send Greg a message around 12:31 and say, hey, I was just taking a lunch break, and I spoke to Matt, who I'm going to be putting you on the phone with later today, and he's super excited to meet him. I told him a little bit about you, and he's also got some good ideas that he wants to share with us that he thinks could be helpful. So like that little bit of mystique, that curiosity, coupled with that connection of like, this guy actually knows who you are and he's excited to meet you, that will go a long way in eliminating your cancellation rate. So that's something you can do as well. Because a lot of times what I'm doing now is if I'm setting an appointment with a prospect, I'm not setting that appointment with a specific person. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to get you on the phone with my business partner. They're going to share some amazing things with you and really break down and show you this model from a different angle than even I could. So we'll set the call, but I won't say who it's with. Because I can't say, hey, I'm going to have you talk to AJ. Well, what if AJ is not available? Like I'm setting the appointment, then on the call, I'm going to get somebody on there. Whether for me, that's AJ or Cliff Freeman or Amy Weaver or Russ Lagan, I'm going to get somebody on the call, but I want to leave that window open to who it's going to be, because if somebody can't make it or something comes up, I know I can pivot then. Whereas if I put too much edification on the person they're going to talk to, and then that changes, that can be weird. But I do know the morning of, so like the morning of, it's locked in. I know they're going to speak to this person. That's when I can say, hey, this person you're going to talk to, then I can start to edify them and say they're excited to meet with them and kind of bring that together. And that will decrease your amount of cancellations. You know, if people think they're just getting on the phone to hear about switching to EXP, you know, it could feel like a waste of their time. They could mentally say, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready to do that, even after they've gotten excited on an initial call with you. So it's about keeping them excited and letting them know this is going to be a good use of their time no matter what. So however you articulate that. But yeah, cancellations are a real thing. Let's say they do not show up. If they don't show up, I think an important thing for you to do is at that point, you need to, you know, make them not feel bad. Hey, you know, our wires got crossed. So sorry we weren't able to meet. And then re-edify the appointment. Be like, hey, you know, so-and-so is looking forward to meet with you. Said, hey, no problem. Things happen. Things come up. We know they're going to have some time next week. I'd love to get you into another block of time. You know, what works good for you? Keeping it low pressure like that. All right. Guys, open it up amongst yourself. I'll be back in 1 second. I got to handle something.
So I've got a question. If anybody else is dealing with this, I've got a couple agents in other markets, and both of these agents are the only agents like in my organization in these markets. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to support them from a distance. One's only about 2.5 hours away, but the other is, you know, across the country. And so they're both trying to launch agent attraction in their markets, but they're the only agent in my organization down there. So I'm trying to figure out how I can, if there's anything else besides the basics I can help them with, or if anybody else has had the experience with that could help them launch a little faster.
Yeah, I can't speak to direct experience with that because I don't actually do like in-person events. But what they need is they need others, right? They need others to come around beside me that are physically there. So you could go, are you familiar with the EXP agent directory?
Yeah.
So you could go to the agent directory, you know, pull the list of the agents in that area. Hopefully there's some more EXP agents in that area, collect all of their information and emails, start, you know, a private Facebook group for your recruit in that area to kind of help jumpstart that, get everybody on there, invite them to it, and then start the conversation and get them going. And then you know what the best practices are. And then you could even live stream the ones that you're doing in your area into their Facebook group, so that they can kind of be motivated and see what's going on and what the flow is there. But sort of jumpstart it for them, do a little bit of the initial lift for them, since they're going to be doing the heavy lift in their market of actually pulling these off, and just get them together. You know, there's power in numbers, and in a market when you're starting out, it doesn't matter who the sponsor is or what organization they're in. They just need to come together and start to build together and get some traction in that market. Once the market takes off, then everybody can kind of like, okay, this is our group, that's your group. Like we're gonna just do stuff for our group. But in the beginning, I think there's power in numbers.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Sean, are you here? All right, Sean will be here in any second. Who's brand new on the call? Tom, you brand new? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I've been on board about 6, 8 weeks, but haven't really had any opportunities or chances to get started on anything, but just wanted to soak it up and kind of get a foundation today.
What made you move to EXP?
There's a million reasons.
What were the one or two biggest reasons for you?
I much better split, but also just I'm 55 years old and being able to plan for my future retirement and having that ability and flexibility to earn money down the line and having that revenue share, that was big for me.
And how many homes do you sell a year on average?
I'm only at about 12 to 15.
Okay. Well, we add, one sale a month to your current business. That's going to get you icons. So you're going to get, up to $16,000 in stock per year. So, when we think about what are the things that are within our control that EXP provides for, it's really for retirement. It's two things. It's the stock and it's the revenue share. So I think with a little bit of effort, you can become an icon agent, especially if you're plugging into our Tuesday production calls and implementing some of those strategies. If I'm looking at your career 5 years out, I need you to get that $16,000 of stock each year, because as our company grows and the stock likely grows with it, it's going to really position you. I mean, that could be a significant chunk of money 5-10 years out if you'll build it now. So I really want you to focus on that. And then at the same time, by focusing on that, it's going to make you more attractive in your marketplace, because if people see you go from, say, 10 or 15 deals a year to 25 or 30 deals a year, people are going to notice that, especially in a market like this. And that's going to make you more attractive to getting into conversation with them about agent recruiting. So the two things go hand in hand, and really it's three things, right? It's getting you the stock, which is going to be doing more deals, which is going to make you more money, which is going to make you more attractive. So if you can go into it with that focus, stay plugged into Tuesday, stay plugged into Thursday, and then actually take meaningful actions, as far as recruiting. Recruiting will not happen on its own, and it will not happen just by showing up on these calls. What will happen if you show up on these calls, hopefully, is that you'll get motivated and inspired or dissatisfied with your lack of action, that by staying committed to these calls, you'll take the action to move you forward. So that's sort of the model, and it's worked in every industry and every sales job. And that's kind of how we approach it in order to be successful coming in and moving through this. I saw Sean pop in and I saw Sean leave. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hey, man, we're excited to have you here. Want to just introduce you first. So tell everybody who you are, where you are, and how long you've been in EXP.
Yeah. Once again, Sean Langston. In Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, affectionately known as the DMV now. So anybody from that area knows about that. But been in Charlotte for almost 20 years, been in real estate for about 16 years, going on 17 years. My wife and myself, we had our own firm, Langston Realty Group. We partnered with EXP and John, Lars, and Stacy. Been about 2 years now. But the funny thing about it is the agent attraction didn't start until we were about 6 months in. So anybody that's looking at getting into attraction that may not hit the ground running, you can always start where you are. But it's been a great ride for us. We love we love the culture. We really love the culture. You can connect with anybody on just about anything. As a matter of fact, one of my team members needed some information. She's about to have an opportunity to get 56 new listings with this new construction builder. And she was like, I never had this opportunity. I don't know what to do, Sean. You know anybody? And I'm like, I don't know anybody offhand, but I know somebody that knows somebody with an EXP, and end up getting Nathan Abbott on the line. And I mean, he just hit it out the park, over exceeded my expectations. So it's been a great ride for us. We're excited, and we think we're in the right, we're with the right company, during this current market. So super excited about what's to come.
Yeah, man, it's crazy the connections that we have. And Nathan's such a giver, and so many people have poured into him since he's been with the company. He was able to go from 100 million to, I think he's on pace to he's actually having his best year ever right now. I talked to him last night and he was already at 170 million closed.
Wow.
Year. I mean, he's going to do over 500 million this year. It's going to be nuts. But he's got 1,500 new constructions under contract to list when they come out of the ground already. I don't know anybody doing new construction at the level that this guy is. So the fact that you have that resource and can plug that person in, I think is awesome. Sean, I remember talking to you way back when you were first looking at this and coming over, and I actually still remember your why, but tell everybody what your why was, you know, as it related to your decision-making process.
Yeah, so, you know, for the most part, and I know this goes for a lot of people in our group, you know, for the most part, didn't come up from a lot of money. And so I saw the opportunity that EXP had with the revenue share, the equity, you know, I'm like, man, this gives us a seat at the table. I saw it as an opportunity to build wealth for my family and an opportunity to build generational wealth. So the next generation coming behind me, you know, my kids, my grandkids, anybody connected to me, like they don't have to start from scratch like I did. Right. You know, so it was a guy, Joseph Trulio, did a presentation, and basically he said that he was the one in his family. Right. He was the one that changed trajectory in his family. And I'm the one. Right. You know, nobody gave me anything. My family came from humble beginnings. So that's my big why. So when I kind of get, you know, down and out, when I get tired, you know, when sometimes I feel like, you know, the recruiting and attracting is not going the way that I wanted to go, I just constantly think about my big why, and I snap out of it just like that. So I'm really passionate about real estate investing as well. That's kind of my lane and my niche, you know, because that kind of just leads right into building wealth and ownership and being able to pass that down to the next generation.
Nice, dude. Now your real estate company is it safe to say that you're more focused on real estate investment, like as a niche for your company?
Yes, sir. Yep, absolutely.
And how do you see, or how does that apply to your strategy when you're trying to recruit agents?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, just under your leadership, you know, Lars and a couple other people, and just going to the live events. One thing that I've realized is, you know, in a lot of ways, and I like cliches. So if you guys hear me saying cliches, it's just something for me easy to remember, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And so my authentic self is real estate investing, right? You know, I know that real estate in general, real estate sales is about production. And, you know, I'm not a crazy production guy. So I couldn't really lean into that and be authentic, right? I've sold a ton of houses, but I really wasn't passionate about it, to be honest, right? But I'm more passionate about real estate investing. And so I just started leaning into that. So what I started to do is, for, you know, in addition to the Tuesdays training and coming on these trainings for our agents, I do a training on real estate investing for all of our agents. Anybody that's in our group, I talk about that. And it's called Real Estate Investing from A to Z. And so basically, I'm showing somebody from the very beginning of how to run comps, how to evaluate a property, and then I'm connecting them with, you know, my some of my lenders. Then I'm connecting them with some of my local vendors to get the flips done, rental properties. So several agents in our group have been successful. So that's what I love about it. For example, I had an agent that would have possibly not listed a property, a $200,000 property, you know, it's beat up. Before we talked about real estate investing, and I showed her how to take that $200,000 property that she wouldn't want to, you know, market as a listing and buy it as an investment property to flip. And she made $50,000 off of that property, a property that, you know, she would have made 2.5% off of 200,000. I think that's 200. I think that's about $6,000 or something. I don't know if I'm doing my math right. But so things like that are life changing. So I just look at it like, hey, look, you don't have to do a lot of them, but if you can flip one property and you can make $30,000, $40,000, doesn't that make it a little easier for you to let the gas up a little bit on production if you needed to? So that's kind of what I've been doing with the group. So definitely geared more towards real estate investing because I'm super passionate about that, and people can see my passion and they really lean into it.
How many people are on your real estate team right now?
Yeah, so my direct team, are you talking about my organization or my direct team?
Your direct real estate team.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing about it. It's just one agent.
Okay.
It's one agent. It's my wife and myself. She does a little bit of sales, but she's really the administrator. She takes care of all the behind the scenes stuff for me. Then I have one agent that came over with me, and he's been, with me since day one. And so he's great. He does what he needs to do, and he's doing several investment properties. We actually flipped a few properties together. So just one agent on my direct team.
I could actually see you growing your real estate team as a means to agent attraction, because I think your niche is so unique, but it's something that everybody's interested in, right? So like agents are interested in it, they just don't know where to go and how to get started. It's kind of like the residential agent who's looking over the fence at commercial. They're like, oh, that looks cool, that looks interesting, but they have no idea how to get from A to Z. You've
Right.
got the group real estate investing from A to Z. I think it's a way for you to market to agents in the marketplace. Hey, come over here and we'll sell real estate, but I'll also mentor, coach, and train you on how to become a real estate investor in the process. And I'll help you
Yeah.
flip houses. Like I
Yeah.
think that would have a good connection rate with the people in your market. Because let me ask you this. Give me just some basic numbers. Like in your Charlotte market, what's the average buy and hold real estate investment property going to run you? Like what's an average price?
Average price point to get in to purchase a property is probably going to be about 200, 250, in that range.
Okay, so let's just use 200. And with the lenders and people that you work with, if I'm buying a $200,000 investment property to rent and hold in your market, what am I going to have to put down on that house to get into it?
Yeah, on a rent and hold, on average, just depending on, if you're buying it at the right price, you're going to have to come to the table somewhere in the neighborhood about 25,000, anywhere 25,000 and up. 25 would probably be the minimum at that price point.
All right, well,
Now, let me back up, John. Because I was looking at more flip opportunity. You can get some buy and holds for a lower price point, and so your down payment would be lower.
Well, let's just go with the 200 for now to keep the numbers simple, and 25,000 out of pocket. If I bought a property in your market for 200,000, I put 25,000 down. What would you say because you know this stuff inside and out, most people on this call don't. What would you say the realistic conservative average of actual positive cash flow after, mortgage depreciation, all that stuff? Like what would after PITI, what would I be looking at positive cash flow wise?
Positive cash flow, probably about $500 a month.
Okay. I think that's conservative with what I know. So I appreciate you going through that exercise with me and backing that up.
Yeah.
Here's what I use as an analogy all the time in my agent attracting. Because I'll get with people and we're talking about the pain points. We're talking about planning for retirement. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to do some real estate investing. I'm like, whoa, hold up a minute. I love real estate investing. I'm a real estate investor myself. But what I'm talking to you about with EXP is something totally different. And let me just kind of like set the table here for this. If we go into your market, Sean, and we're a real estate investor, we could expect to buy a house for 200,000, come out of pocket 25,000, and we're going to have $500 per month of positive cash flow. Now, that's one way to do it, but the way I'm doing it over here at EXP is I'm having a conversation with somebody. I'm showing them a way to save likely $25,000 or more per year. I don't have to come out of pocket with any money, and I'll make $2,800 for that capping agent and every agent that joins. And oh, by the way, if that agent has a baby and recruits another agent, I get paid even more on that. So it's like, if you can approach it from the investor angle with an investor and show them, hey, there's no risk, there's no capital investment, and there's way more return than even those that are risking their capital investment. Now, all of a sudden, let's have a conversation and get real about what EXP is. And I think that's where things just become mind-boggling. It's like, hey, let's do both. But let's understand what we're talking about here, because it's very much an apples to oranges thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Use that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when the light bulb went on for me, right? As I really dug into it and looked at the opportunity, I'm like, okay, first level, you can get up to $2,800 a year. And so granted, John, I told you that on that particular property, you can cash flow about $500 a month. But if you kind of looked across the spectrum or what have you, probably the average rental, like I have some where I cash flow 1,200, I have some where I cash flow 700, 500, 300 or what have you. I would say the average is probably for most people, really cash flow without Airbnb. I'm just talking about a straight long-term rental is about $300 a month, to be honest. Right.
So time out a minute. The reason that you and I are having this conversation is because your story becomes our story. You're a professional real estate investor. Your company's specifically focused on that.
Yeah.
These are real numbers in one of the top markets in the country. If you're not taking notes right now, because you're all going to talk to somebody who says that their long-term game plan is real estate investing. If you're not taking notes on the reality of what he's saying right now, you're missing the power of these interviews. Because what I used to tell my agents that were brand new, and some of you are brand new to prospecting for agent attraction, I say, listen, man, you're part of this team. We crush it. And now it's not about you, it's about we. So we sell hundreds of homes. I don't care if you're brand new. So now we're on this call, we're talking to an investor. Now, when you're talking to an investor, you say, listen, a lot of us are real estate investors. We invest in real estate and what those numbers look like in real terms. And you can, this is open for debate. Let's have a conversation about it. But we invest in the Charlotte market, and in the Charlotte market, which is one of the best markets in the country and attracts a lot of the top investors and, huge, multinational investing firms.
That's
because
right.
of how good it is there. You're looking at 200,000 to get $300 a month in cash flow with 25,000 down. So if that's one of the best countries in the month and that's what it looks like, what's your game plan, sir, to get to replacing $10,000, $15,000 a month that you're making in real estate in the next 5 years? Are you going to buy 50 investment properties? Because that's what it's going to take. Do you have 50 times 25,000? What is that? I don't know, 1.5 million? Do you have that to invest in the next 5 years? And it's you just got to be willing to go there and go beneath the initial layer to have a conversation with them. Sean, one of the things I love about you is every time I see you, I feel happier when I leave you. You just have this, you're always happy, you're always positive, you always have a smile on your face. And I just think that your ability to go into the marketplace with what you authentically have is strong. And I just want to encourage you, brother, to do more of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Absolutely. And you make a great point, John, because the light bulb went on me came on when I saw the opportunity from the rental property standpoint. And I'm like, hey, if my average is $300 a month, that's $3,600 a year. I got to put down money. I got to have insurance on the property. I got a mortgage and all these other things. I'm like, I can recruit an agent and get $2,800 a year, So to be honest, kind of weird, but I look at every agent as a possible rental property.
Sure.
Right. And just without the risk, without the additional risk. So, once I kind of looked at it like that, and I'm seeing it on average with my revenue share checks, it's kind of coming out to be that average. It's the proof is there, right? The proof of concept. So I can talk to people more confidently about, hey, if you're a real estate investor, you can do this as well. And you can have X amount of agents and you can have X amount of cash flow per month, per year for the next X amount of years and grow that.
What's the size of your EXP organization right now?
Right at about 60.
Nice, dude. What's the biggest monthly revenue share check you've collected so far?
I think it was right around about $4,000.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Is that enough to cover your mortgage that month?
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have a mortgage.
Bam.
Yeah.
All right. You got spending money. You got shoe money.
Yeah, but it takes care of, all the other household bills and other things. And so, yeah, it's a blessing.
That's so good, man. I love it. We'll keep up the good work. We'll turn that 4 into 40 here in no time.
Yes, indeed. I'm claiming that.
What would you say to somebody that's watching this, that's brand new? They just got started. They got their why, they got their reasons why they're doing EXP. They got their long-term vision and future. Your best advice to them on what they need to do, what would that be?
First of all, you got to have a big why. I have to impress upon that on someone to have a big why, right? Because there are going to be times that you're going to be afraid. There are going to be times that you're going to be tired. There are going to be times where you don't see the end, right? You don't see what the next step is. And if you have a big enough why, then you know that you have to lean into it. And so I would say the next thing is to do it scared, right? Like I just do it. I do it scared. You know, I tell my team, I'm not afraid. I tell them, I'm like, look, you guys might see me talking this, that, and the other, and I got connections. I said, but anytime I'm doing something that's different, getting out of my comfort zone, there's a little intrepidation there. Like I'm afraid, but I do it scared, right? And so that's what I would say. Like you only learn if you think about us as people, for the most part, even from grade school, we've always learned from doing and repetition. And that's what I love about these trainings that you do, John, right? They're all very similar. So when I first of all, jump on these calls to get your confidence up, to get your guidance, right? And so I used to jump on these calls all the time. And I noticed that everything you were saying, you would put a little twist on it, but it was the same thing, right? And so I'm like, hey, I just got to get my reps in. I got to just talk to people, right? Sometimes people are going to say, I'm not interested. Sometimes people are going to say, great. Sometimes people are going to say, well, let me think about it. Sometimes people are going to say, stop calling me. I'm like, it's all part of the process. You know, I'll give you a quick story. I had a lady in my market, and she was a big fish. And I just leaped out on faith to call her. Really, I went in as, you know, I've heard about the book. I've never read it, but I went in as a go for no, right? I'm like, man, if I can call her and let her tell me no, then I can call anybody, right? And so I called her up, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm with EXP now. She's like, really? I've been thinking about EXP. And I'm like, what? I'm almost like, you know, and I'm like trying to, you know, keep my composure. I'm like, really? Okay, you really? So you've been thinking about it. And why is that? And we just got into the conversation. Took me about 9 months to get her over, but she's a big fish. She brought like 17 members over. And then this past weekend, we just kind of officially announced our merger, our partnership. And she's on fire. She's been doing this for over 20 years, and she's ready to do something different. And so like, that's going to be a huge impact on our organization. Like she's ready to go. So you gotta, like Brent Gold says, like I said, I'm a bit cliche, you know, things that I can remember. Your ego is not your amigo. Get your ego out the way and just reach out. Like my ego, I was willing to bruise my ego on that one, right? And it was amazing. I couldn't even believe when she said that. So I would say
the most amazing story, dude. And this is just you and me right now. Like you got that big fish, man. Like you got to get her to build 23.
I know.
Like, everything, like I don't care if she recruits 10 people next month or not, like everything, when you get somebody that has that potential and that influence to that big conference, that's where it explodes for them. Without that, like you're just rolling the dice, man. Like, so whatever it takes for you to get her there, if you need help with that, you got to get her to build 23. Build 23 is our next big agent attraction conference. There's going to be 5,000 people there. It's going to be in San Antonio. Somebody dropped the link to the Build 23 in the chat, so everybody has it. This is where it's going to happen. Our very own AJ Maida, our very own Lars Hedenborg are both speaking from stage. I mean, this is the next step for her. And it's like, man, when I hear about somebody getting an influencer like that, it's like always like just initially like, are they signed up for the event, man? And if you gotta stand on that line or stand over that line with them to get them to go, that's what it takes, man. It's like so worth it. You said a couple of things though that made me think like, you know, you're gonna be afraid, you're gonna be tired, you're not gonna feel like making the calls. And without that big why, you know, I'll explain the same thing you said this way, because this is how I think it might help somebody that's listening. We think about a big why and we're like, okay, that's where we want to go and that's what we want to do. But that's not actually, for me, the power of the big why. Having a concrete big why is powerful because once you can actually see it and feel it tangibly, then you can also see and feel what it would be like to not have it. And for me, the not getting the thing that I've envisioned is more powerful, because Tony Robbins says we move more away from pain than we do towards pleasure. So like if we don't have a concrete big why and we just, we want to do this and we want to retire, and it's not tangible for us, then it's just out there and it's just a pleasure. It's just something that's in the future that's pleasure. But the problem is we have pain in the present, which is I'm afraid, I'm tired, I don't feel like it. And because Tony Robbins explained this, because we're more likely to move from pain than towards pleasure, we don't actually do the thing because we're avoiding the pain of I'm tired, I'm afraid. But if we have a concrete vision of the big why, now we can be afraid of what our life would be like not to achieve that. Yeah. And that pain will be greater than the pain of I don't want to call this one agent. So I hope that makes a connection for somebody on why we always say you need a big why. But that's what it took for me to understand the importance of a big why. It's like, no, I have to be able to like contextualize this thing and see it and feel it and how great my life will be when I achieve it, so that I could also feel the inverse of that, of what it would be like not to achieve that. And that will be a bigger pain point than whatever I'm going through in the present.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know, Lars, I say this story because I think that we think like we always tend to look down on ourselves and our situation, and look like, oh, others can do this because, and I think that happens a lot with Lars. But like I was by Lars's side in the beginning when he was making phone calls, and he was scared, you know whatless. Like he didn't, but like you said, Sean, you take the action in spite of the fear. I mean, one time Lars was calling somebody, and it was somebody we both knew, and he was a big fish in his market. And Lars called them, and the person on the other end of the phone actually said, "Hey man, are you okay? You sound nervous right now." And
Wow.
Lars was like, "I am nervous." So like, don't think that it's just you and that you're not good enough because you feel that way. We all feel that way. I get nervous when I talk to people that are brand new. I don't even know why it is. It just is. So like, just accept it and move in spite of it. Dude, I could talk to you all day, but I want to see if anybody on our call here has any questions. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask Sean specifically?
And John, I would like to add something onto what you said. You know, you said like when you see me, I'm always smiling and being positive, and that's on purpose. Like, you know, it's intentional, right? It's a reminder of I'm still here. I'm grateful, right? I like one thing when I lead my trainings, I lead off what's called a session called "Tell Me Something Good," right? Kind of like what you all do. But it's tell me something good, and I preface it with like, you know, having an attitude of gratitude keeps you out of this negative mindset. So having an attitude of gratitude, and so that's why I'm always smiling, and that's why I just lead with value when I'm talking to somebody. I got a guy I talked to yesterday; he'll be signing up, and he said, "Man, I talked to another agent that was trying to recruit me from EXP, and it didn't feel anything like this." He said, "Man, I feel like you really want me to win." And I do, you know, I feel like if you get enough people, you know, I know it's somebody that had the quote, but if you give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. And so that's what I try to do. Just add value, keep people smiling, keep the gratitude in mind. Know that, you know, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm damn sure not where I used to be. And so I just try to keep that in mind.
Oh, that's so good, dude. Yeah, and you do it, man. You do it. Let's see. Everybody's loving this conversation today. Awesome. Sean, what's one book that's really influenced you in your life that when I say like, what's that one book? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh man, you know, I'm an avid reader. I would probably say one book that had a huge impact on doing things tangibly is Atomic Habits. I like it because it was super practical and less theory, right? You know, I think that's my thing right there. That's probably like in my top 5. And
James Clear,
I've
baby.
hundreds and hundreds of books. That's my top 5. I like it because it's process driven. It's not concept. Like a lot of books give you the concept, but one thing I like about it in particular, it says like if you want to make create a habit, you have to make it easy, you have to make it enjoyable, and something else. But it has to be like some simple things, right? And so for me, something as simple as wanting to read more books and take in more information, I actually listen to my audio books in the shower every day because I know I'm going to take a shower, right? So it's habit stacking. So that's probably like one of my top books, and I've read a lot, but that's my top 5. I would say you read that, that'll show you how to implement things from a super duper low level, practical way, simple way.
I love simple and practical. Simple scales, complexity fails.
Yes.
I'm actually inspired, man. I'm gonna reread this book. I'm flying to LA later this afternoon. I'm gonna bring this book with me. AJ and I have been talking personally one-on-one just about getting back to some of the basics and really, taking advantage of the opportunity that we have right now in the marketplace where people are scattering, people are scared. Dave DeSilva, you got a question. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Hey, Dave, what's up, brother? How you doing?
All right. Hey, I got a question for you about branching out into other markets. I know you do a lot of stuff in the Charlotte market. I see your marketing. Are you doing anything to branch out maybe into DC where you came from or some other local markets around Charlotte?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am actually. And so, I thought about branching out in my market, DC, where I'm originally from. But as I tried to do that, it kind of reminded me why I left DC, right? It's just not that type of place. People aren't collaborative in that area, right? I'm not saying everybody, but it's just not that spirit of collaboration. So I'm like, hey, I've heard this quote like from the Bible, you can't even be a prophet in your own backyard. So I wouldn't count on people that know you or hometown. So I've branched out in other areas. I'm actually talking to a guy in Chicago right now. And I met him through social media, some of my social media activity. And he has a team of about 20 agents, but he's a huge influencer, right? And if he gets this EXP model and gets behind it, like he could blow up. So what I would say, Dave, is be open to connecting with people in other places. Like, me just following you, I know that you're big on fitness and, being out and walking, jogging, like that's huge. I remember when we were in Mexico, like you and your wife, you were up early in the morning getting it in. And so there's a tribe out there that likes that, right? I would find that tribe, somewhere outside of Charlotte. I think you could easily expand that. So to answer your question, yes, my motto this year is I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's sound advice, dude. Really good call today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us. Anybody else have any last questions or thoughts that they want to share before we wrap up here for today? Awesome, man. I know people are going to get a lot of value from this. So if you're watching this right now and you wish that somebody else in your organization was here with you listening to this, just go into the Facebook group, tag them, tell them it was fire, and let's get Sean's message out there and let a lot of people hear and benefit from it and be motivated by it to work through their own fears and their own struggles to take that action. Sean, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you and excited for your growth here this coming year.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Take care.